so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You've travelled a long way, but it's a very exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah, really exciting.
Welcome to Kingston.
Kingston, is that where we are?
So, for those who don't know, I think most people do, there's a little something happening this Friday.
Yeah, a big dramatic something.
Your new album is coming out.
Yep.
Called High Drama.
Yeah, finally!
I want to ask you first, we've got some great questions for people here, but I want to ask you first, how are you feeling about this week, about this Friday, about the build-up?
I'm so excited to have the album finally out. I mean, we've released a handful of singles now, and I can't wait for everybody to hear what's left on the album, because it's full of surprises still, I think. I think people are going to be really excited to hear it. Yeah.
I'm going to cut straight to the questions.
Let's cut to it.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is in no particular order, and also there were lots of questions, everyone, so thank you so much. I may not get to all of them because of time, but I'll do my best. Okay.
I should have worn glasses up here.
I'm looking for Louis Miller. Where's Louis Miller? You're his grandmother.
That's pretty close.
It was my question. In fact, I sent in two, so I'm not sure which one you got.
You had a question about, I mean, I can ask it for
Yes,
you.
please,
The question that Louis asked was, what inspired this album?
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, I think one of the things that inspired the album was the performance at the Kennedy Center where I sang Believe by Cher. That was definitely something that had a lot of people talking about it. A lot of people loved it. I enjoyed it. When the idea came up to put an album out, you know, I've been working on a couple other projects this whole time since the beginning of the pandemic, and those are much longer projects that take a lot more planning. And I thought, I really want to put an album out for all of you beautiful fans out there. I want to get some music out there, and the idea was suggested, what about a covers album? And I thought, that could be a good challenge. And so that's how I looked at it. I thought, let's take songs, you know, some very well known, some a little bit more obscure, and figure out a way to do them in a new, sort of reinvigorated way that fit my brand, my brand of high drama.
And I forgot to say as well, obviously before we came on stage, we played some but not all of the album.
I heard a little bit of it.
Yeah, I hope it went down well with people.
Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you heard some stuff tonight that you hadn't heard yet, right?
Yeah.
I now need to find Alison Burrows. Where's Alison Burrows? Can't see. Put your hand up if you're Alison Burrows, no? Okay, well, Alison wanted to know, how long does it take to decide, or did it take to decide what songs to cover?
There was a long list at first, and then I used a little criteria to start kind of getting it down. You know, one was songs that I knew would suit the voice, songs that I knew I could really do something different with, that fit into a world that I wanted to create for this. And then lastly, I wanted songs that told a story that I felt like I could have lived out of my own life, so that it would feel authentic when I was singing it. And also, almost all the artists on the album that I cover are very unique individual artists that follow their own path, that march to the beat of their own drum. And those are the types of artists that inspire me, and those are the type of artists that I've always been drawn to. So.
Alison Stevenson. Are you here, Alison Stevenson? Okay. Alison Stevenson asked a relevant question, which was, can you tell us, were there any songs that didn't quite make it onto the album?
There was one song that was talked about for a moment, and it was Spin Me Right Round. But it kind of felt like it occupied too similar of a space as Holding Out for a Hero. And I felt like Hero had a little more drama and more vocals, so we chose that one instead. I kind of knocked the other one out of place. But who knows, maybe I'll sing that other one someday. I don't know.
Maybe We'll do it in a minute, maybe.
Yeah, right now. Go. I need a beatboxer.
And another relevant question about album choices from James Green. James Green?
Hey, we've got one. I've got a job.
Found someone.
Was the process between recording this album of covers different to your albums that are original songs?
Well, it's faster because obviously you know what songs you're working with. You know that the songs that are picked are songs that work. You know, it's like, okay, this is a good song. I don't need to guess, okay, out of these 10 songs, which ones are the best. I already know which ones are good. So that takes some of the guesswork out of it, and it definitely shortens the process. The real challenge for me creatively was getting into the studio and figuring out how to just rework them. I mean, that was the best part, but we did it really fast. This was like I think a 2-month process, which is much faster than the typical album process. You know, I've worked on albums in the past like for over a year, so yeah, it was a hustle. But it was good because it like kind of didn't give us time to overthink, which I tend to do. It was like, okay, let's go, let's get it done, and I kind of like the urgency of that. I think it added to the high drama.
It's a dramatic process.
Yeah, it was. This album title is like so on the nose, and like, you know, in many ways. So yeah, I like it.
Right, I've got a better chance here because 3 people asked this question. Jenny Hodge. Is Jenny Hodge here?
No.
Hi.
I'll come into the front because even though he can hear you, we want the people at the back to be able to hear you. Hang on.
While you're coming, I'll also say that Michelle Shackleton and Lucy Galperin asked this question. But please go ahead, Jenny.
3 people asked the same question? Wow, something in the air.
It was about a favourite song.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what was your favourite track from this new album?
I always get asked that, and I'm so bad at favorites because they're all favorites, or else they wouldn't have made it on the album. I don't know. It's always like, it depends on the mood. I mean, there's songs on here that are like completely over the top, and then there's songs on there that are really deep and emotional. So I guess it just depends on the day, what kind of zone I'm in, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. What was your favorite so far?
Oh gosh, Mad About the Boy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
It really suits your voice.
Thank you.
Good choice, Tom. Good choice. This is possibly my favourite question of the night so far. Gia Middleton and Timia Casera, sorry about the pronunciation. Either of them here? Anywhere? I'm going to ask it anyway.
I think people are being shy. They don't want to be like, they don't want the spotlight on them. They're like, I'm here, but I'm not going to do that.
Best question ever. Do you like Kingston?
Is that where we are? I've never been to Kingston before, so I love it. All you are all here, so it's lovely. Who is from Kingston here? Yeah, locals. Yeah, I like it. We're having a good time.
You can probably imagine Adam was walking up and down the high street earlier, chatting.
In these.
Right, okay, let's move on. Brona Moyner. Is Brona here?
Just going to pass you the mic.
Yeah. Of course you can. Of course you can.
Just toss it. Just toss it.
I can't remember what it was, so...
Shall I tell you?
She's a reminder.
Just ask it for me, that'd be
The question was, what has your craziest performance been?
Like ever?
I still don't remember what it was.
Is that what you asked? Is that your question?
When I did it, you know.
Is this you? Is this your name? Or is this the same person? I like your hair, by the way. That's pretty. I like that color. Craziest performance?
That's a really good question.
It's a great question.
I don't know. I mean, I think like a crazy surreal moment was probably last year doing the Jubilee performance. That was pretty wild. You know, there's certain like events or certain event, like performances that I've done where it's like just looking at the venue. I mean, I'm like at the gate of Buckingham Palace. I was just like, this is so weird. I love it. And it was a big honor, obviously, performing for the Queen. It was a really beautiful day, and it was all about hay fever that day as well. I mean, there's so many memories of that day. I was crying for all sorts of reasons, and yeah. But it was like a wonderful experience and very surreal. Yeah.
And Nina Kurikowski. Is Nina here? Hey! Nina has
Where's
a question.
Nina? Where's Nina? Sorry.
She's just...
I've gotcha.
Do you remember your question, Nina?
No, I don't.
So, Nina, you asked, how do you feel when you walk on stage, and are you nervous?
Nina, do you want to ask it in your own voice? Now that you've been reminded.
Sorry, I'm a bit out of it. I got up at 2 a.m. this morning. I traveled from Finland this morning to
Oh, Kitos.
Yeah, you know Finnish? I know you did. Yes, so how do you feel when you walk to the stage to perform live in front of us?
It depends on how much sleep I got that day. I mean, that's definitely a factor. I get excited. I really do. I get. I think when I first started, like after the Idol competition, I think the adrenaline for me at that point was so insane that it was always like kind of a thrill sport. You know, it felt like I was just like jumping out of an airplane almost. And then over the years, that adrenaline kind of calmed down a bit, and now I just I feel sure of myself most of the time when I walk on stage, depending on the event or the material. This weekend, or on Monday, doing Coco, I'm so excited because it'll be the first time performing most of these songs live, but also because it's the first time jet lag. But because it's the first time performing a lot of these songs live, I will probably be a little more nervous. So you're in for a treat, because nerves most often lead to a really exciting performance, because they charge me with frenetic energy, and they, you know, once you learn how to kind of harness that frenetic energy, it can create some real magic. So yeah, so I'm excited, very excited.
So are we.
Yay, thank you.
How many people are going to Coco on Monday?
Now those of you who didn't raise your hand, get your tickets, come on. Oh shit. Live stream, there's gonna be a live stream, tune in. Tune in, turn on, drop out.
Is Lisa Baker here? Amazing. Do you remember your question, Lisa?
No one remembers that question. When did you guys submit them? When did you submit them?
It's
Days ago, huh?
It's one of my favourite questions, Lisa. Shall I show you so I don't spoil the surprise?
You need teleprompter for everybody out here.
How do you keep singing better and better?
Say it again?
I love that question.
How do you keep singing better and better?
Oh, thank you. I don't know. I do think, like, I've seen interviews and read things about other vocalists that there are things that change in your voice as you get older, and sometimes it gets better. Sometimes it warms up, or the tone changes, or I don't know. I feel like if I look back on like 13 years ago when I was on Idol, I was at the very top of my range a lot. I was like, it was that adrenaline thing. I'd just be like, all the time because I was excited, you know, and I'm like, I'm gonna get it back! And that was always a lot of fun, and kind of what a trademark of mine was. And now I feel like I still have my moments where I want to like wail, but a lot of times it comes from a more sort of like an intentional place where I'll do it in a spot in a song where it's needed, you know, emotionally, where like this is the climax of the song. This is where this big note goes. I don't know, I think I've grown up a bit as a vocalist, and I don't know if I would, I guess I would think I'm a little more tasteful sometimes with the way I choose to do things now, maybe. Except for these jeans, but you know. But I think also I think as you get a little older, you get a little more comfortable in your skin, and experience teaches us a lot. And I think those experiences and sort of both in life and professionally have kind of left me feeling more confident and sort of more grounded than I used to be. And I think that adds to a good vocal performance, like being sort of in control of your instrument and in command of your intention. I think it kind of, I don't know, I just feel like much more in control than I used to, which I like. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. And it's gotten lower too, which is really interesting. Which is interesting because I used to be, when I was younger as a singer, I would love to belt up the high stuff, but whenever I was singing a song that had like lower parts and like the verse or whatever, I would be a little uncomfortable because I didn't feel totally, and now it like sits differently, which is really fun. And the texture of the voice builds over time, being on stage and, you know, singing rock music. And now when I'm in the studio recording, it's like I have colors that I didn't have before, and I like them.
I'm going to say as well that having worked with you for the last year, the way this album has evolved, you can see that on the album, the breadth of the quality of your voice in the different records, and it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a David Burford? Yeah, David. No, Can David's wife remember the question?
When did they submit these questions?
I think about a year ago.
I genuinely don't remember what he put on.
You're not the only one. I mean, I don't think anybody's remembered that question.
Surprised me.
Shall I ask it quietly and you can repeat it if you like? The question from David was, what has been the most exciting period in your career?
Good question.
This one! This period! I don't know. I mean, it has been like an interesting journey so far, really. It really has. I don't know. Maybe it hasn't happened yet. The most exciting one. Maybe it's yet to come. That'd be kind of cool.
I think it's like right now in Kingston.
It's right now in Kingston.
Are you going to sing for us?
No. Sorry.
I think she was talking to me. No.
Not today. No. Monday.
Okay. Caitlin Lee. Is Caitlin here? But no. Okay. Caitlin Lee wanted to ask. This is talking about your association with a band called Queen. Did you try to emulate Freddie when you sang with Queen?
It's an interesting question because I never wanted to imitate his voice. I mean, Brian and Roger specifically kind of said that's not what we're looking for at the very beginning. But I've always tried to sort of keep in mind the spirit with which he performed the songs and tried to put myself in that headspace and in that emotion, and I always try to perform the songs from that spirit, so that, you know, I'm on the right page, you know, I'm like, you know, and so Brian and Roger feel like we're on the right page, and so the audience feels like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be feeling when I hear this song, and this is what the story is. So it's a balancing act, really. Yeah.
Another Queen-related question, which was asked by 9 different people.
Ooh, the same question.
Amy Richards, Tina Prince. Shout if you're here and you want to ask the question. Karen Faulkner, Helen Quinn, Andrea Jesikova. Basically, what was your favourite Queen song?
Oh. I'm actually, like, I've been saying it, like, I'm terrible at picking favorites. I mean, how do you pick a favorite Queen song? I mean, that's hard. Because the thing that's so brilliant about Queen is that they have such a variety of different colors and sounds in their catalog. I mean, I love Another One Bites the Dust. I love Who Wants to Live Forever. I love Somebody to Love. I love Show Must Go On. I love... There's so many of them that I love. They're all really special. When we do the show together, I love doing Killer Queen because we always do something really silly with that one and really theatrical. Yeah, I can't pick a favorite. I don't know. Do I remember the year? Yes, I do. It was a good year. Oh, cool. Right on. Tell her thank you.
Hi, Speen.
I just want to say welcome to Kingston.
Thank you.
I actually live in Twickenham, which is just down the road. But anyway, so I wanted to say, apart from Freddie's, you know, obviously vocals, who else has inspired you vocally?
So, I mean, I've been inspired by a lot of different singers. I think I'm the kind of music lover where I listen to a lot of different shit. You know, I'm always listening to different music, different genres. I mean, vocalists that I've always kind of gone like, whew. You know, it goes back like Aretha Franklin, you know, Robert Plant, George Michael, Michael Jackson, Prince, lots of different singers. I mean, when I was like a teenager, I thought Christina Aguilera was pretty badass. She could belt. Yeah, there's like a lot of different people. Lady Gaga's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of different singers I look up to for sure.
There's someone called Peter Glenister. Is Peter here? Peter asked, on the kind of musical inspiration side, but do you still love musical theatre? Is that still a passion of yours?
I miss it, actually. I grew up doing musical theater, and not only as a kid, but as a teenager, and even into my 20s, that's what I did as a living. In fact, right before I did American Idol, I was in Wicked for a number of years. I was in the back with the purple top hat on. I was in the ensemble, the unsung heroes of the theater. But I miss it. I miss it in some ways, and and I'm always going to keep making music and being recording music. But I'm actually writing a musical right now. Yeah, it's not going to be like rah show tunes. It's going to have some rock cred in there, and it'll have some balls, so some bollocks. But it's gonna be really cool. I've been working on it since the beginning of the pandemic, and that's the other project that I've been developing, and it's a much longer timeline than a pop album, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
There was actually a question about that from Amy Davis, or Claire Frewer. The question was whether is that going to be Broadway or London or no?
I don't know yet. We're working on it. It needs to be written before we know where it's going to be performed. So, one thing at a time. Yeah, the process of developing and creating a musical it's complex. It's very layered. So it's like lots of steps and stages in the process. So when we know more, we'll let you know.
So